Broadcasting live on the UnitedWest.org AM radio network and simulcasting on DirecTV, iHeartRadio, Roku, and the World Wide Web, this is Enemies of the State with Tom Trenko.
All right, I'm going to leave you, actually, start the day today, Friday, May 29th, 2015. 5 minutes, about 6 minutes, May J, no May J right now. About 6 minutes after the hour, 6 minutes after 4 o'clock on the East Coast in beautiful Florida. The summer is just about here. I'm going to leave you with one of my lifelong pearls of wisdom. If you only have a minute that you can spend with us today, you should spend the whole 55 minutes. Phenomenal show. But at the lead of the show right here, I'm going to give you one of the pearls of wisdom that I have found makes life so interesting. Find a job you love. Can you complete the rest of that, Damon?
And you will be successful.
No. Find a job you love. I had so many jobs I loved that I was never successful, Find a job you love, and you'll never have to work a day in your life. Ooh, let's think that through. Find a job you love, and you will never have to work, emphasis on work, a day in your life. We love our job right here. We love analyzing all the insanity in this world that's exploding before our very eyes, communicating it to all of you out there so that your lives are impacted and changed, and we can indeed try to save Western civilization. We love that job, and it's not work. It's enjoyment every day. Now, if we can figure out a way to get paid to do this.
I was about to say.
That would be something.
That's why it's not work, is because you don't get paid.
You don't get paid for it. So, but along those lines, we have identified the month of June as fundraising month for the United West. In fact, some dear friends are putting a fundraiser on for us at the end of the month, significant fundraiser to try to raise our budget from July 1st through December 31st, 2016, an 18-month budget. Our 18-month budget is less money than you would pay for a Ferrari, a cheap Ferrari. One car, less money for a Mercedes. I mean, we operate pretty thinly around here. But the point is, for those of you who follow the show and like the show, and our apologies, we can't get to every email and tweet and everything else as quickly as we'd like to, but we do work our way through it. Please consider making a donation in this month. What we would prefer that you do is make a $25 or $100, whatever you can afford, monthly donation so we can kind of track whether or not we eat that month or whether we have to put eating off to the next month. But let me show you something pretty good right here. One of our folks who watches the show wrote to me 23 hours ago. Hi, team. I just sent a donation, double high, C-H-A-I, which in the Hebrew world, high life is the number, what, Damon?
18, Tom.
18, so double is what?
36, but this guy added a 0.
Yes, he did. I just sent a donation, double high, $360. That is wonderful. As a small token.
Thank you very much.
His name is Mike. We're not going to give last names. As a small token of gratitude for the epic work you have done and continue to do. I am a huge Capitals fan. You already know that you're the best. You look forward to meeting you guys in the near future. In the meantime, I'll continue to share your videos on my YouTube page, etc. And that's what we need you to do, folks, to get the word out. If you could, I would be very grateful for a ticket from the Draw Mohammed event with Pamela or Tom's autograph. Two iconic American heroes. LMK. Let me know what else I can do to support. Keep up the good work and God bless. I'll check back with you guys in a few months. Thanks again. Well, yes, I happen to have 4 tickets right here.
And
Here
Mike's getting one.
An original, general admission, I got 360 for it, ladies and gentlemen. Who give me 370? 370 going once, 370. Who give me 380? No. For Mike, who was so generous and kind. Watch this.
Signing it on the air.
I'm going to, I'll do my whole real name. Look at that. And I'll date it. 5/29/15. There you go, Michael. My name right there on the back of it. Now, as some TV hucksters do, they'll resell this to somebody else. But I need an address. If you would send me an address, Michael, otherwise we can't get this to you. I'm putting it right over here on President Obama's head. It'll stay there until you send me an address, and we will send it to you. As soon as your check cashes. As soon as the check clears the bank,
That's
Michael.
not funny.
Yeah, we have to no, we'll send it to you. Thank you very much, folks. What a show we have today.
The compliments alone are worth the ticket.
I know, man. We have, we've been talking about critical thinking, and Damon found an article just before we came on the air. Let's just throw that up. We've been saying that the classic doctrine of thinking critically, which is a Western concept of formal thinking and analysis and critique, is not allowed. It's prohibited. It's halal. Haram. It's prohibited in Islam. And we lay that out contextually and textually in Islam. Look what he found this morning as we were coming to the show. Take a look at this headline. For seeking answers on Islam, Muslim gets charged with blasphemy.
Yes!
This guy simply wanted to know. He asked, the article reads, fascinating article. It reads that according to the charge sheet, the fellow in question, Juan Suleiman Juan Ismail, 53 years old, in Kuala Lumpur, he said, the Shahada says, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger. He said, I see there is no God but Allah in the Quran, but I don't see that Muhammad is the messenger of God. In the same way, it doesn't appear in any of the Holy Scriptures. Where did it come from? All he wanted to know is where the second part of the main thing that makes him a Muslim and sets him on a course for either perdition or paradise, because Islam is either true or false. If it's true, then Muslims go to paradise, all of us go to perdition. If it's false, Muslims go to perdition, which is a fancy name for hell, and other people go to paradise. All he wanted to know was where'd this thing come from. He went through, and next week I think we'll do a complete breakdown on critical thinking against Islam. He went through a series of judicial meetings and sentencing, and he's been determined to be blasphemous simply because he violated one of the doctrines of Islam, the fundamentals. You don't.
That is how it works, dumb.
So on this Jump'in Jumm'ah Freaky Friday, to all our Muslim brothers and sisters out there, watch the show. Forget about not thinking critically. Your eternal destiny hinges on it. Think critically, please, folks. Also on our show today, we have the FBI looking for help to find the Islamic State cells here in the United States. Look at this. CNN reports the FBI struggling with the surge in homegrown terror cases, particularly following the Garland, Texas attack that we were in, the United West, 5 of us, we were there on May 3rd. The FBI saying, hey, we need your help, guys. Come on. Well, of course, when the Obama administration ties your hand, you may have to go outside to get some assistance. We have some good stuff on the drawing board where we will form citizen groups to help the FBI identify Muslim terrorists. And as we were saying, coming to the airtime, all you got to do is stand outside a mosque and look at the ones that are dressed in a Sharia-compliant way, in an Islamic State way, and you can roll the dice and have a pretty good bet those guys are involved in terrorism in some capacity. It's as simple as it is, but you can't profile. Also on the show today, we have something very interesting going on in Phoenix. Some folks following the Garland event where Pamela Geller organized the Muhammad art exhibit, these guys are going in front of the mosque at the Islamic Cultural Center of Phoenix. In front of that mosque, 6:15 tonight, Central Time, 7:15 East Coast Time, to protest that mosque because it's been reported that the two jihadis that were trying to shoot us, Elton Simpson and Nadir Sufi, what's his last name? Sufi? Nadir Sufi, that they attended there, though some of the mainstream reports say, oh, they had nothing to do with it. They were hardcore members of that, but that's just the least of it. Our buddy Patrick Poole showed an investigative piece he put together that several other jihadis attended there who are in jail right now. So 4 terrorists coming out of there. And the pastor, the imam of the ICCP, Islamic Cultural Center of Phoenix, the pastor, the imam, was one of the flying imams in 2009 who caused such a ruckus in, I think it was in a Texas airport with U.S. Air.
Was that in Minnesota, wasn't it?
Maybe it was in Minnesota. They were going back to back to Phoenix, not Texas. And so that place is a rat's nest. So these guys, John Ritzenheimer, whatever, I don't know the guy. We weren't involved, nothing involved with this. We're trying to cover it. But they want to go out there and protest, and it's causing an uproar, and we're going to keep our eyes on it, and they want to draw cartoons or something. So we're trying to get all the facts on this, but that's later today, a couple hours after our showtime. So good show, a lot of things going on. We're going to get a report at the end of the show from Alan Kornman on a terror trial taking place in Orlando, Florida. And we're also going to hear from Jerusalem Jane, one of our buddies, ironically, who was with us in Garland. Small world, Damon, isn't it?
Tiny.
One of our buddies who was with us in Garland, Alexander Thomas, we met him at this event, and then when you're trapped in a room, when the FBI and the SWAT team says you can't move, you get to become friendly with people that are there. We became friendly with Alexander Thomas, who we found out was on his way to Israel. He went to Israel. He met up with our friend Jerusalem Jane. And Alexander, who is a Christian, went with a group of his Jewish friends to the Temple Mount. And Jane videotaped his unbelievably bizarre story on apartheid on the Temple Mount. And you're going to hear it in a little bit. But up first, we're going up to the Boston area, Stoughton, Massachusetts to be exact, to get a quick report from our very dear friend, the warrior Rabbi Jon Hausman. Let's give him a round of applause. There he is. Rabbi Hausman, how are you today?
Doing well, Tom. How are you guys?
Good. I know that office. I know that office well there. We've been in it many times.
A lot cleaner.
There you go. Exactly.
Listen, it helps to have some money to do some renovations. So bookcases, everything's up. Desk is a bit untidy, but you know.
Hey.
But I will tell you, Tom and guys, I still have my humidors right there.
All right. That's where the cigars are.
And a closet just stocked and waiting.
For adult beverages.
Yes.
Look, guys, we fight these battles. We work very hard, but we also play every once in a while. And the rabbi, when he puts on these phenomenal events like we're going to tell you about, at the end, everybody kicks back a little bit. If you'll like to light up a cigar or have a little taste, hey, we're there. And we got something coming up June 9th. Tell us what's going on, Rabbi.
We got a phenomenal program taking place on June 9th. We've changed the title of the program. It's entitled Freedom Isn't Free, From the Greatest Generation to the Challenges of Today. Our guests will be Admiral Ace Lyons.
Whoa, big time.
Listen, how many synagogues, how many places can say they have a 4-star admiral coming in to lead a panel discussion? Joining the admiral will be founder and president of the Center for Security Policy, Frank Gaffney.
Whoa.
Yes, and joining them is the center's vice president, as well as former CIA analyst extraordinaire and polymath. For those people who don't know, that means she speaks a lot of languages. Yeah. Claire Lopez.
There's Claire right there. So you got Admiral Lyons, Frank Gaffney, Claire Lopez, outstanding American heroes, 3 of the 19 authors of Sharia, The Threat to America. As
well as other works that they've cooperated on or written on their own. For people who come, we're going to have a whole selection of publications from the Center for Security Policy available for sale. And if I'm not mistaken, including some of the Team B2 reports. The Secure Freedom Strategy, the latest publication, will be available for purchase as well.
Yeah, and the Secure Freedom Strategy, folks, Sharia, The Threat to America came out a few years ago, and it was a compilation of 19 people to deal with Sharia as the threat to America. Phenomenal book. I had the honor of participating in it, and I have learned so much. I use it as a reference book now. Well, Frank Gaffney put together a smaller team, I think about 16 people, and it's the Secure Freedom Strategy monograph, about 90 pages, and that simply is an operational plan to defeat Islamic Jihad on a cultural level and a political level here in the United States. And you're bringing these 3 experts together to what end? What is the thesis of the evening? What do you want to accomplish in the lives of those who attend?
Well, look, the ultimate question, I think, right now is when you take a look at the news, including some of the incidents that you just shared with the listeners and viewers. You know, we've had just so many arrests that have taken place of U.S.-based individuals who happen to be involved in international terror-related cases. And, you know, one could say that you take Iran's call once again for the destruction of the United States, the great Satan, as well as Israel, the little Satan, and with people such as the Admiral and people such as Frank Gaffney, who's a former Deputy Secretary of Defense, and Claire's experiences with the CIA, the question that they're going to address is the war for freedom right on our doorstep.
All right.
And you know, we're at a time, Tom, where, you know, these threats against the United States are just metastasizing, and not just internationally. I mean, right here in the country. And by people who are associated with the Islamic State, Al-Qaeda, all these affiliates, we're, you know, I mean, listen, what was it? Just 2 months ago, a kill list was published vis-a-vis relative to U.S. military personnel by this, right? U.S. military personnel, along with the claim that came out of Garland that operatives are now ensconced in 15 American cities. So, you know, what are we talking about here?
No, we're talking about...
The war is here. It's not just in Garland, Texas anymore. It's not just... And name the place. It's not just on the college campuses. It's all over this country.
Yeah, we're talking about a clear and present danger. And going back to Garland, today's the 29th, so the 3rd, 26 days ago, we were there, as I said, but so was parliamentarian, a very popular and controversial elected member of a European parliament, the leader of his party, Party for Freedom, Mr. Geert Wilders, was there. He's been a target of Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State for many years. He was there, and that upped the ante as to why the jihadis wanted to attack the place, other than for other reasons.
Yeah, but you know something, Tom, it really begs the question, did they need another excuse?
Yeah, right,
exactly. Did they need Geert Wilders? You know, do they need the cartoons? What other excuse can you give these people for them to prosecute their attacks the way they have? You know, it's interesting. I was in Israel a few weeks ago for a family event. I'm sitting around the Shabbat lunch table with my relatives, and Garland, Texas came up as a topic of discussion, because it just turned out that one of the guests who teaches at one of the major universities in Israel happens to hail from Houston. And the conversation was, geez, did you hear what happened? And I just said, yeah, I happen to know most of those people personally. What? I said, yeah, a number of them have spoken in my synagogue. You know,
Well, the point I wanted to bring in historically was that Wilders was there in Garland, but Wilders in what, 2009?
Yes.
You were the first real venue to have to host him in America. When was that?
February of 2009. I had just come back from Israel 2 days previous to that, and we hosted Geert Wilders.
That's 6 years ago, ladies and gentlemen. So the warrior Rabbi Jon Hausman isn't new to this game. He's been at it for many years, was educated over in Egypt in addition to other areas of education. Rabbi Hausman, how could people get in touch with you in order to attend and promote the event if they can't attend, but to get the word out for people to come there and attend?
All they have to do is go to the synagogue website. All the information is posted there, www.atorah.org. And if there's a bit of information that's missing, they can send the office an email, and we'll be glad to send them who's ever writing whatever information they like.
All right, sounds good. And we'll pick up next week, because this isn't until the week after. We'll get an update next week on how things are going, and we will see you up there. Okay.
It would be my pleasure to host you guys, as always. You know that we've done a lot of work together over the years, and we're brothers in this battle. What can I say?
Amen. And a lot more to do before the world's a safe and sane place.
Hey,
Rabbi Jon Hausman, thank you. Have a great Shabbat Shalom. You take care now.
thank you. Great weekend, guys.
All right, bye-bye.
You too.
All right, Rabbi Jon Hausman, dear friend of ours, a very unique individual. He's a scholar. He's an attorney. He's a rabbi. He was educated at American University in Cairo, Egypt. Speaks Hebrew, speaks English, speaks Arabic, and understands the original languages, understands Islamic doctrine, has been instrumental in assisting the movement to have American laws for American courts in the various states that got it passed, because there's a leftist Jewish contingent that, for whatever bizarre reasons, lines up with devout Muslims who want Sharia, and this Jewish coalition fights against the doctrine of American laws for American courts. So Rabbi Hausman has been the subject matter expert explaining the fundamental distinction and differences between halakhic law, Jewish law, and the Sharia law. Completely different approaches and different applications. So he's a unique guy that truly is a national treasure. From national treasures up in the Stoughton area outside of Boston to, where are we going to next? To Israel?
Yeah, I think we are going to go to Israel.
Let's go to Israel, and if I could hear you speaking in my ear. Well, look at that. You say Israel, and Jerusalem Jane pops up on the screen. Hi, Jane. How are you today?
I'm very good, and I'm hot. It's so hot in Israel, you won't believe it.
That's what we're hearing. It's like 32 or some crazy number like that.
42.
42.
102 Fahrenheit, yeah.
102
Yesterday.
Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
Woo!
There was actually a headline in Arosheva saying, this was the hottest August in I don't know how long. And, oh, by the way, no, it's not August. It's still May.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. So you have been spending a little time with our friend from Texas, Alexander Thomas.
I have been spending time with our cowboy, yeah. He's such a nice guy. And he loves Israel. He stands with Israel. He stands with the Jewish people. And like me, he was curious, so he went to the Temple Mount. Interesting.
And then he came down and you taped his story?
Yes.
Do we have that ready to go, Damon?
He's not Jewish. He's Christian. He loves Israel, but he decided to go with a tourist, with a Jewish group. To try and see, what they are facing when they want to go to the Temple Mount. And let me tell you, he was shocked. Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's 30 minutes after the hour, 30 minutes after 4 o'clock here on the East Coast in Florida. If you're in California, as many people are, like 35 million people, it's 30 minutes after 1 o'clock. If you're in Israel right now, where Jerusalem Jane is, let's see, 7 hours, it's 30 minutes after 11 o'clock at night. So it's pretty late out there for you guys. But we're at WSBR Radio for everybody just cycling in. And we're also on WHFS 1010 in Tampa Bay. Starting June 1st, Monday, we're going to be on another radio network, Red State Talk Radio. We'll tell you more about that on Monday, how you can find it. And we're at theunitedwest.org to watch the show, Tea Party Community to watch it. Whole bunch of stuff coming at you in the month of June. Do we have Alexander ready to go? Yep. We do. Let's play 3 or 4 minutes of this fascinating interview you did with Alexander Thomas. Here we go.
Hi, this is Jerusalem Jane from Israel One Nation. I am downtown Jerusalem with a very good friend of mine, Alexander, who is here from Texas. Alexander went to the Temple Mount the other day, and something extraordinary happened. Do you want to share to the world, Alexander?
Sure. Hi, I'm Alexander, and I had the blessing of being able to go up to the Temple Mount early morning.
Got cranked his audio a little bit.
And what happened was very interesting for me because I'd never been up on the Temple Mount at all before. I'd been invited to go several times as a tourist. Never did it though. Been to the Kotel before a few times. But I got to go up there with my Jewish friends. So they considered me a Jew, especially because I had my kippah on, and I had a
I wonder if he had a shofar.
I had to take that off and put that away, and they wanted me to give it to them. They put it away in a little storage area. I still haven't gotten it back, so I'm hoping I'll get it back. That's one thing. The other thing was they made us wait for so long through a lot of security protocols, apparently, because who knows, us Jewish people, since I was included with them, could be causing problems. Problems like, they told us, you cannot pray. You cannot bow down. You cannot tie your shoelaces. If your shoelaces get untied, you must squat down.
That's ridiculous.
Take your shoe off,
Yeah.
tie the shoelaces on them, then put your foot back in, or try to put them on while squatting and tie them. You cannot touch anyone else or hold hands during the tour. Even if you are married, husbands and wives cannot touch each other. You cannot look in the general direction of the what's today called the Dome of the Rock, or what Jewish people would call the presence of the Holy Temple, where the Holy of Holies especially could have been. You're not allowed to say anything. You cannot say a prayer. You cannot say God bless you if someone sneezes. You cannot say anything really. Now, if you wanted to talk about something, you can talk to each other. But if you're looking in the direction of the Dome of the Rock, you have to be very careful what you say, because if they suspect that you're praying or that you're saying some sort of barucha, a blessing or something, that could cause you to get arrested. So you know what I realized? Some people have been telling me that there's this thing called apartheid in Israel. Well, it turns out they're right. There is apartheid in Israel. You won't find it in the streets of Jerusalem, or in Tel Aviv, or in Haifa, Herzliya, Ashkelon, Ashdod, or in the Knesset, where, for example, there are a lot of Arab, Israeli, Muslim, including Muslim members of the Knesset, of a Jewish nation, right? You will find marketplaces filled with workers from all over the world who are Jewish, who are Muslim, and who are neither Jewish nor Muslim. For the first time in my life, I came to Tel Aviv and met the Hare Krishnas. And by the way, I was born in India. I grew up in Kuwait. I live in America. Where did I meet my first Hare Krishnas? Right here in Tel Aviv. So if you're going to tell me about apartheid happening in Israel, guess what? There is a place where it's happening. You probably know by now where that is. It's called the Temple Mount. Let me tell you what happens up there. If you want to see a 3-tier system of pure, what I would consider supremacism or bigotry, right? Look at this. If you are a Muslim, you don't have to worry about anything. You can go up on the Temple Mount from whichever entrance you want to, anytime, have fun, no problems. You can go around kicking a soccer ball up there. You can go, how do I say this, urinate wherever you want to. You can go up there and throw rocks if you want to. You can go up there and throw trash around if you want to. In fact, that's one of the disappointing things that I saw up there. If it's considered to be one of the holiest places for Muslim people, and in Islam, well, why is it kept so trashy then? It's horrible to see that. It's horrible.
Yeah, man. That's just half of a fascinating interview you did with Alexander. Where can the folks see the rest of this, Jerusalem Jane?
It's on Israel One Nation. It's on Israel One Nation. You know what? I actually didn't interview him. I just said, "You want to share what happened?" And he just spoke for 8 minutes. And he could have said a lot more, but he was truly shocked. Yeah,
he was. And it's about another 4 minutes. That was about 3 or 4 minutes. It's another 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And an update for Jerusalem Jane, our correspondent in Israel. We had asked for a donation for you to get a microphone. The donation came in. So thank you very much. I could say Ellen, thank you very much for the donation. And Jane is now Sunday. I think Sunday you're going
Sunday.
to
I'm pulling Alexander to help me so we get a good one.
There you go. And to get the right microphone so that he could hold a little microphone while you're shooting him. The quality of the picture was great. The audio was okay, but we need to get that microphone out there. And so thank you very, very much for the donation. But do you need more donations, Jerusalem Jane?
Yes, please. Yes, please. I do.
Well, tell the folks.
So if anybody has
people
in their heart, because if you bless me, and forgive me for saying this, but if you bless me, you bless Israel, because I am blessing. God called me here to bless the Jewish nation and to stand with the Jewish people. And I cannot do my work without the help of support. It's just the way it is. So, God says that he will bless those who bless Israel. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Jane is an activist for Israel, a promoter of Israel, a friend of Israel, of Jewish people, and she's a Christian. And she's not there proselytizing. She's not there with an organization. She's there by herself, no organization, but with many friends. And please, ladies and gentlemen, you can go to Israel One Nation. Is the donation link?
We are working on it. It's not that easy, but I'm getting help. So please let them go to your page on.
All right, go to our page, theunitedwest.org, top right hand side, donate, and just send us a note, Tom at the United West, that the donations for Jane. She has her own link set up through our organization. So the funds will come in and we'll just send them right to her. She's helping us out there, and that's tremendous work. She's going to be all over the country. I think you're going up north next week, maybe?
Hopefully Monday I am bringing Alexander to meet Mendy in Knesset, and he's going to tour in Knesset. So hopefully with the new mic on Sunday, I can do a little bit of interview with Mendy in Knesset on Monday. And let's see if we'll be able to go up north.
And Mendy is Mendy Safadi, who we had on last week. He's a Druze, fellow from the Druze community, 130,000 Druze. And he works in the Knesset, works in public relations, friend of yours. Yeah. Great stuff. All right. Well, you got an exciting couple of days planned for you, Jerusalem Jane.
Yes, and can I just say on Tuesday is going to be the annual day a year where we have our big drill for a full-blown war, where everybody has to participate, in the drill, and 2 times a day the siren is going to go off and you just have to dive for cover. And if you can't find cover, you just have to throw down on the street.
Really?
So that we're going to have that on Tuesday, yeah. Like this is wartime, and what do you want to do and where do you want to run and all of these things. I'm saying only in Israel, only in Israel, only in Israel. Do you have a day like that?
Shoot some video on that, okay? I'd like
I will.
to see
I'll
that.
try.
And ask a couple of people, what do you think of all of this? And we'll
take
a look. All right, Jerusalem Jane, 39 minutes after, we're going to say goodbye to you, dear. You take care now.
See, I got something Alexander wants. He's a cowboy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Our buddy Alexander wears a cowboy hat, the Texan. So
he wants this. I'm not going to give it away, but he can try it.
He wants it. Okay. Well, give him a hug for us, okay?
I will.
All right.
I will.
Take care now.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Jerusalem Jane checking in with us. It's funny, ladies and gentlemen, how the world is. 26 days ago, we didn't know Alexander. And providentially, we were in the same building when we were attacked by Islamic State jihadis. By the grace of God and the good shooting of the Garland Police Department, the 2 jihadis were dead moments after they got out of the car. In the melee that followed, or the confusion, which was actually pretty well conducted. We spent probably 24 hours together, a group of people. One of those folks was Alexander, who you just heard, and an individual we didn't know. We spent the evening with him and the next day, and then he was in our apartment, right, Damon? He was in the rooms with us and spent the day with us and all of this stuff. You don't know what I'm saying? You can't hear me? You can't hear me? Am I coming across the air, or do I have to do sign language?
I don't think you're coming through.
1, 2, 3, 4. I hear myself. Well, okay, we're back. If we weren't there, I wonder how long that was.
Try that again, please.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Live television, live radio. Okay, we're good. We're good. 40 minutes after. In any event, we met up with Alexander. Now he's out there with Jerusalem Jane, and the friendships are developing, the relationships. All of this is geared toward an event, 528 days. All of this is geared toward an event. I got to do this now.
I don't know.
The batteries look fine.
Make sure you're plugged in.
I'm good all the way around. All of this is geared 528 days from today. 528 days from today. I got somebody. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's, you know what? There may be a loose wire here. Let me change this around, because I just heard that also. 528 days from today, all right, is the 8th of November, 2016, and that is election day. We all know that's election day. Everything we're doing, all the interviews we do, all the investigation, everything has a specific objective of mobilizing Christians who have not historically voted according per capita. They're voting about 25% of available Christians of voting age, of registered age. You got 100 of them, about 25 vote, and in key states, that's making the difference. We believe we need a pro-Israel, pro-American, pro-Western president, and we need to mobilize Christians to do that. So everything we're doing on our show has a revolutionary component to it, a revolution at the ballot box to devastate the democratic leftist ideology, the enabling of Islamic Jihad thought processes. Get a Republican in there who believes properly on these issues, and then try to right this great ship, because this is a phenomenal country, and we learn here how to adjust, adapt, and overcome. And when the mic goes crazy, we can do this little thing as long as we need to.
Go ahead and try and put it back again.
As long as the words come out and you can hear what I'm saying. Otherwise, I got to go back to sign language, which I actually knew at one point. Good? Good? All right, tell me if it goes down again. Next up, at 44 minutes after the hour, we've got a report from Orlando, Florida. Do we have him with us? We got our regional coordinator, Alan Kornman, on the line. Alan has been with us for quite a while, travels with us extensively. We've been literally all over the United States and in different parts of the globe. And Alan has done a million different things, one of which was yesterday. He was in a hearing in Orlando, terror hearing, and he's going to give us a live report right now on this. I think we have a story right there. Alan, welcome back. How are you?
Fine, Tom, Damon, glad to be here.
We had Rabbi Jon Hausman on a bit earlier, and as I understand it, you're going to be up there, and Damon, and I'm going to try to get up there with the rabbi on the 9th of June, correct?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. All right, tell us what happened in Orlando yesterday with another Islamic jihadi terrorist.
Well, here in Orlando, the home of Walt Disney World, we have our own terrorist, our homegrown terrorist, and one Marcus Dwayne Robertson, a.k.a. Imam Abu Tabu. He is a Muslim extremist who once led a murderous New York gang dubbed Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves.
Beautiful.
And then he resurfaced decades later as a radical imam at a Florida mosque, and he's begging for help funding his legal defense against charges he committed tax fraud, according to authorities, to finance terror training for his followers.
Well, so what's the big deal? You know, business as usual in Florida, the terror base for Islamic jihadis. Man, you're such a racist, Alan Kornman.
Well, he made an impassioned courtroom plea. I guess it is his elocution, as they call it in legal talk, and he immediately went and pulled the race card, saying that if he was white and Christian, white Christian and not Muslim, that the government would not be charging him and throwing him in jail. He even got a little weepy because they would not let him have a Quran, and he wasn't allowed to practice his Islam with fellow inmates. He started weeping. It was very embarrassing, I thought, and the acting was mediocre at best. But this is a bad guy, Tom, and he is. What makes him a bad guy is that this was a classic operation, grooming operation for a terrorist. And what I mean by that is that he brought in a fellow by the name of Jason Jimenez, who was essentially a clean slate, brought him down from New York, gave him kinetic training in knives, firearms, and then he also provided the spiritual element and taught him how to read the Quran, to understand the Islamic doctrine and theology, as well as jihad and the meaning of jihad and what is obligatory and what is not, with the end goal of sending him overseas to Mauritania to get better training, and then to go on to either Afghanistan or Iraq with the sole purpose of killing American generals or high-ranking officers in a suicide or martyrdom mission.
I'm reading, Alan, from the Orlando Sentinel, and with us is Alan Kornman, our Regional Director for the United West, up in Orlando, 48 minutes after the hour. Tom Trento, WSBR Radio, 740 on the dial. Every day, 4 o'clock, tell your friends, share this, tweet it out. If you need to get an understanding of national security issues as they relate to you as an American, or you as somebody in the West, or somebody in a Western mindset, watch this show every day. We bring you all kinds of stuff, and we do a little bit of edutainment. Provide a tremendous amount of information, our analysis, our opinion, with a little bit of entertainment thrown in there just to keep things fresh and moving. But Alan, I'm reading the Orlando Sentinel Tribune Company report, and according to Jimenez, whom prosecutors described as a parrot, Robertson, that is the terrorist, Abu Tamar, is it Tamar?
Tabu.
Yeah, Abu Taba. He says, Robinson, Abu Taba, taught him how to shoot and use a knife and the benefits of being a martyr and suicide bombing. So what they're saying here, his defense folks, is, look, you got this evil guy, Abu Taba, and he finds this very innocent Jimenez fellow, and he sits down and instructs him as to how to become a terrorist. Now think this through, folks. I could see sitting down instructing somebody how to properly peel an onion without crying, or sitting down instructing them maybe on a couple of good opening chess moves, or sitting down and instructing them on, you want to cook a meatloaf, right? You don't sit down and instruct somebody on how to blow themselves up without that person going, what are you saying to me? I have to put a belt on myself and blow.
I do not, maybe not in your country, but what you're talking about is very common in the Middle East and North Africa.
Yeah, I could just see, hey, come on in, we're going to have a light conversation here. And then a half hour later, you're telling a guy how to blow himself up, and he's going, okay. The whole idea for the defense team here is trying to show that Jimenez was radicalized. Well, as you know, here at the United West, we're moving away from the term radicalized because as a Christian, if I become more interested in following my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ or following the principles of Christianity, I'm not a radical Christian. I'm a very devout Christian. I'm somebody who's serious about my faith. Why don't we afford the same lexiconical advantages, same language advantages to Muslims? You know why we don't? Anybody know why?
Because it would be racist.
If we say a Muslim is becoming more devout in their beliefs of the doctrines of Islam, and they strap a bomb onto themselves because the devout teaching is that you can do that in a jihad, that is incompatible with our Western context of the way we think. And we go, oh, how could a religion have doctrine that teaches people to blow up? Well, in the real world, that's what happens, which is our job, trying to help people understand that there is a system called Islam that has a religious veneer with a primarily political thrust that includes kinetic or physical jihad as part and parcel of its methodology to enhance its veneer religious belief system.
Well said for an infidel.
And we're seeing it play out in Orlando. Alan, thank God the goofy terrorist organization CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations, has nothing to do with this, because you would kind of think they would get their noses inside this tent, you know?
Well, funny you should bring that up, because another surprise that I saw in the courtroom was none other than CARE Tampa's leader, Hassan Shibli, and his sidekick Muaz Hassan, and they were in the courtroom advocating on Robertson, that's the terrorist, on his behalf. Shibli told me after he was trying to get as much information of where I'm from and what city I was coming in, after we got past that, he said Shibli told me that he was subpoenaed to provide expert testimony on the meaning of Arabic words in Islam. In other words, he was an expert witness for the defense of a terrorist. Now, what you're not going to know, unless you were there, is that Hassan Shibli actually went into the courtroom and had a one-on-one conversation with the terrorist. And if you're sitting in the chairs in the back, most people are not allowed into the courtroom area. So apparently Hassan has got some access to the terrorist Robertson that is greater than just a defense witness. Observation.
This is fascinating. Let's get this down on the record here at 53 minutes after 4 o'clock on the East Coast. In the state of Florida, launching pad for 9/11. A lot of this coming out of the Tampa Bay area where the University of South Florida is located. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Alan Kornman, where CARE's state office is located in the Tampa Bay area. Is that true?
That's correct. These two guys, Hassan Shibli and Muaz Hassan, they traveled roughly 200 miles each to come up for this hearing. So they obviously wanted to be there very badly.
So we have Hassan Shibli, young attorney, who is now standing in some way in the defense of or in support of this Robertson terrorist, Abu Tabah. And he had access to him in the courtroom. That is not normal unless you are part of the defense team. That just doesn't happen.
Well, that I cannot confirm. I'm just reporting what I saw.
So if he were subpoenaed to be a witness, you absolutely can't. As a witness, you can't go and talk to the defendant. So something.
Well, no, he didn't. That might have been at an earlier hearing. He did not speak at this hearing. He was just in the area, watching the trial or go on.
Oh, so when you were there yesterday, did Hassan Shibli speak to Abu Tabah?
Not as a part of the case. He went onto the courtroom floor, past the benches where the people sit who are viewing the trial, and then he went into the courtroom area and came within 5 feet of the terrorist Richardson and then they had a conversation which I could not hear.
They did have a conversation.
Yes.
Okay. You cannot be a witness and go, a subpoenaed expert. And now he may have been a hired expert, and because he lives more than 75 miles away, you can do it by videotape if you live more than 75 miles away, or you have to be subpoenaed, or you can actually request to be subpoenaed. So maybe that was the case, but the bottom line is he was not an independent witness, because you can't talk to a defendant like that. But he's on the defense team. I mean, that's
right. Now that's an interesting detail. But what's actually more interesting, Tom, that came up also, because critics would say, well, it's kind of circumstantial evidence. Maybe this Robertson guy, he's just he just had a relationship with this Jimenez. But it was actually brought up in the trial that back in 1990, the terrorist Robertson, he was the bodyguard for the blind sheikh who was convicted and sitting in jail now for masterminding the 1993 World Trade Center bombing.
This guy,
circumstantial,
not that guy. Yeah. The guy right here, Abu Tabah, he worked for the blind sheikh, Abdul Rahman.
Al-Amoudi.
No, not Al-Amoudi, Abdul Rahman.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my word! So he goes back a while. So he's just a hardcore terrorist background guy.
Well, the circumstantial evidence would point 1 + 1 = 2. He was a bodyguard for the blind sheikh, who was a master terrorist with the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. It's safe to assume that his relationship with the blind sheikh was a close one. If you're going to be a bodyguard, there has to be a level of trust there more than with your family members on some level. So it would appear that Robertson was groomed by the blind sheikh, and this is the fruits of that coming up decades later.
Well, I have a word of warning for Hassan Shibli, the state director for the Florida chapter, which is the #1 chapter last year for CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations. I have a word of warning. If he hangs out too closely in these kinds of relationships with these obvious Islamic terrorists, that's going to spill over and maybe cast some aspersions on his organization, Council on American Islamic Relations, to make people think they're a terrorist organization. Now, he wouldn't want that to happen, would he?
Well, he's got a record of that too. As Damon can tell you, there's a gentleman by the name of Todashev who was shot by the FBI here in the Central Florida area, and he came down from Boston. He was involved in a triple homicide of 3 Jews and a near decapitation up in the Boston area. And this guy Todashev came down to Florida, and he was being interviewed by FBI agents, and the FBI agents had an altercation. They shot and killed this guy Todashev, and who was there defending him was none other than Hassan Shibli.
Hassan, what are you doing, my friend? You're defending and standing, it's human rights, civil rights, all of that. Well, for the record, ladies and gentlemen, CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations, stands right now in a federal case on funding terrorism, case out of Garland, Texas, not far from Garland, 5 or 10 minutes from where we were. The Holy Land Foundation was a charity called the Holy Land Foundation. Muslims were making donations to Holy Land. The money was going over to Gaza, and it was being used to kill Jews. And the authorities busted this thing up and found that CARE was indeed a participant, and they are a co-conspirator, close enough to the Hamas to be unindicted at this point. Doesn't mean they won't be indicted in the future. But over against this, the United Arab Emirates in November of last year pulled the trigger and said, you know what, CARE America is indeed a Muslim Brotherhood organization, a terrorist organization. And the bottom line is that Hassan Shibli whether he likes it or not, whether he wants to have some sort of veneer being a wonderful human rights guy, works for a terrorist organization, defends terrorists, and is indeed a terrorist enabler himself. Have a wonderful weekend, Hassan, thinking about those things. Folks, we'll see you Monday. Great lineup next week. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.